Indiana Jones. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast in which we celebrate and discuss the film Raiders of the Lost Ark 1 minute at a time before we run out. I am Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Jerry Porter.
And I'm Christy Porter.
Hey, Christy. Welcome back.
Thanks.
We thought it appropriate to have you back for our last week. We thought about, maybe it'll just be the three of us. But like, you know what? Christy's like the fourth Beatle. Does that work at all? Fourth?
I'm more like the furry mascot at the football games. You know, with
Yeah. You're like Scrappy-Doo or something.
Mm-hmm.
You're exactly like Scrappy-Doo.
Moving on.
You're like that little worm that they added to Sesame Street that Oscar the Grouch hangs out with. Oh, you're not. Come on.
It's already a sad week. Come on.
You're the Snuffleupagus that everyone can see. Okay. All right. We're here to talk about minute 112 of Raiders. And minute 112, as we said, is the beginning of the credits. It begins with the start of the end credits, which is the casting team. And it ends with the credits for the first of the animal handlers. And before we get into the fascinating credits, this movie, as you know, came out in 1981, and it was very successful. Do you want to know how successful it was?
Yes.
Its opening weekend, I have some numbers for us from Box Office Mojo, which tracks this sort of thing. It was the number one. It won its weekend, its opening weekend, as you can imagine. It made $8,305,823, which is $22 million today, wow. Which is not a ton. Like in these, I mean, it is, but it's like, you know, now they're like movies, like they open in like 3 times as many theaters and stuff. But
yeah, but it was like $3 to see a movie, wasn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
There's literally nothing. Like there was nothing else to do. You could sit around the campfire and play the fiddle, or go see that new movie with Harrison Ford in it.
Yeah.
That guy.
And so people did that. They went to see Raiders of the Lost Ark to the tune of $212. I can't read numbers. $212 million in 1981. It was the number one movie of 1981, and I love the top 10 list from 1981 makes me a little sad because it sounds like I'm a kid. I'm going to read it to you. I don't care if anybody cares. Number 1 was Raiders of the Lost Ark. Number 2 was On Golden Pond. Number 3, I think all of these played at the Darien Playhouse, by the way. Number 3 was Superman 2, which I had wanted to see instead of Raiders when I first saw it, but my cousin David made me go to that. Okay, we'll sing a song from each movie. Number 4, I don't want to sing this one. Arthur. Okay.
Yeah. New York City.
Number 5 was Stripes. What do you sing from Stripes?
Oh, didn't they have the march thing? Like yeah.
Number 6, I've never seen.
Didn't they have a do-a-diddy-diddy?
Oh, they did. They totally did. You're right. They did. That's good. Thank you, Jerry. I've never seen number 6, and I feel like I should have. That doesn't matter. The Cannonball Run was number 6. Number 7, I know that Pete loves this, and I love it too. Chariots of Fire.
Oh yeah.
Number 8, For Your Eyes Only, one of the better Bond films, in my opinion. Number 9 could only happen in 1981. The Four Seasons, directed by Alan Alda.
Oh, my word.
Starring him and Carol Burnett. Wow. And 10. 10 is fantastic. I'm amazed, actually, that it was in the top 10, even for 1981. Time Bandits. What a good movie.
Oh, wow.
Huh? Stand by for mind control.
There you go. It was George Harrison.
Yeah, it sure was. Anyway, Raiders did pretty well. I love 1981. That was fun. But yeah, we could talk about some of the people in the credits. I
Let's
picked out
start
a
it with
couple of
the
names.
casting by Mike Fenton and Jane Feinberg and Mary Selway. And I have to say, if there's a movie that was cast perfectly, I think this might be it. Like
Yeah.
from top to bottom, this was
It was
stellar.
real well cast.
That's totally true. I'm
Indy
trying
to
to think
monkey.
of anybody that. You say Indy to monkey?
Yeah.
But we get some recognizable names for people who are either movie nerds or just nerds. We have Deborah Nadoolman. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but she's cool. She's married to John Landis, and she was the costume designer on this. She invented basically the Indiana Jones look. I mean, I guess it was based on those paintings. Who was the guy who did those paintings?
Oh, Jim Stranko for the
Yeah,
concept
yeah,
art?
yeah. So I guess he came up with like the hat and everything. But she like made the hat. She like found the hat. She found the jacket. She has a story of sitting by the pool with Harrison Ford, and she borrowed his Swiss Army knife, and she like roughed up the jacket. She like wore it out. She like aged it while they're just hanging out by the pool or something. Oh, my friend Paul Yates met her at an AFI thing and said she was very cool. We got Richard Edlund. I met Richard Edlund once. Richard Edlund is the hero to all of us. He's the special effects supervisor on this. He's worked on, there are at least 4 movie by minute podcasts going on that involve him, because he worked on all the Star Wars films. I mean, at least the original trilogy, which means all of them. All the Indiana Jones, Ghostbusters, and Big Trouble in Little China, as well as thousands of others. Like every movie you've seen, he was the visual effects.
2010 also.
Yeah, 2010. Alien 3, if the Alien guys decide to go to Alien 3, they'll talk about him. Yeah.
That's a pretty good resume.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic resume. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Had second unit director Michael Moore, usually credited as Michael D. Moore, but he did a lot of the direction of this movie. Like he did all the Tunisia chase scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, he did the truck chase.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about him back then when that was going on.
And I was curious if he was always like a second unit director, if he ever was like the main director. And he was almost never the main director on a movie, but he did direct one episode of Amazing Stories.
Oh, really?
Alamo Job, where Alamo Job is transported from the fall of the Alamo to present day San Antonio.
Oh, weird. Like that's a ripoff of a Twilight Zone, kinda. There was that one where the guy was getting hanged, and he like the professor from Gilligan's Island makes a time machine and pulls him back to the present. It was awesome.
I remember that one. It was kind of like a half rip-off on the occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge.
Yeah.
Oh, a little bit, yeah. And I think he finally sends him back in time to the exact moment where he's getting hanged or something. Spoilers. Sorry, everybody.
Jeez.
I wanted Amazing Stories to be really good, and it wasn't that good. I remember. Maybe if I watched it now, it'd be better. But they did the reboot of like the Twilight Zone at the same time, and that was much better. I like that Twilight Zone that was out then. Anywho, we got maybe one of the most important people in geek fandom right now, Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy, who's here billed as associate to Mr. Spielberg. She was just a friendly little chap on the movie. I guess that means his personal assistant, or she was working her way up to producer, and now she is the head of Lucasfilm. She's running Star Wars and probably future Indiana Joneses.
Yeah, she's on tap for all the Indiana Jones future.
Yeah, George Lucas handpicked her to take over Lucasfilm when he was selling it to Disney. Oh, so wow. She's on top of the world.
Had
just goes to show you.
Stunt coordinator Glenn Randall is a longtime famous stunt man. He did things like Earthquake and The Towering Inferno and Planet of the Apes back in the 70s. And he was stunt coordinator on things like E.T. and Poltergeist and Return of the Jedi.
Nice.
Well, we have Kit West, which if you're ever east of the Pecos, you don't want to meet him high noon. He was the fastest draw.
Wow. And he's working on this movie?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's impressive.
It was in between. It wasn't high noon. I mean, they did most of the recording like 8:45.
It was like working with kids. They only had him like in the morning. Then he had to study and shoot somebody, and then he could film again in the afternoon.
And like 90% of the other people, it seems like, that worked on this movie, he went on to work on Return of the Jedi after.
Yeah. Yeah, they got a little Lucasfilm stable of folks.
Yeah.
Oh, whenever my wife and son and I watch a movie at home or even in the theater, I guess we watch the credits as closely as we can to see if we can find a Tom, a Jody, and a Sam. And it rarely happens. The only movie I can think of that has all three is The Fantastic Mr. Fox, which I recommend you go see. It's a very good movie, and it's got our names in the back. But I did find a Tom in this minute of credits. Tom Smith, the chief makeup artist, who I immediately looked up, assuming that he'd be related to Dick Smith, who is a world famous Oscar-winning makeup guy who did like The Exorcist and all this stuff, and The Godfather. But he's not related to him. He's just a dude. He's just another Smith. Smith is not a very common name. So
How about Fred Hole?
Easy, Jerry. After the show, there's a time and a place.
Yeah. You're going to be talking about Burt Rodwell next.
Or
Peter Hancock.
Ian Hickenbottom.
Or Roy Button.
I got Roy Button. I wrote down Roy Button. I like Roy Button. Come here, Roy Button.
You're such a little button.
I see you hiding over there. Get over here, Roy Button.
I do like, instead of a weapons specialist, this movie had an armorer, Simon Atherton.
Sounds very Lord of the Rings.
I actually didn't know that he was going to be the weapons. I had no idea what an armorer was going to do. He sounds kind of like a member of Parliament, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he does.
Lord Simon Atherton.
The Minister of Armaments.
There you go.
Oh, can I mention one thing that I forgot to mention when I was talking about the box office and stuff? Where do you think this is ranked, this movie, in adjusted for inflation? Where do you think it ranks in top domestic box office sales?
Probably something stupid, like 28th behind Titanic, The New Pete's Dragon. And I mean,
that would be.
Well, it is adjusted for inflation, so it's not as stupid as it could be.
I'm going to say number 14.
Okay, Chris.
I'll say 28.
I'm going to go for 35. Even stupider.
Well, Jer was closest, but he went over, so Pete wins. No, I don't know. 21. It's the 21st highest grossing film of all time, behind The Sting and ahead of The Graduate. So that's, I kind of like, I like that it's snuggled in with, actual movies.
Those are all great movies. It's great movies. But this is Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, if they were better, we'd be doing the Sting Minute.
It's not so bad.
We're not doing. It's not. But that's it. It's not so bad. It's not so bad.
I'm actually impressed the Sting did that well.
I am too. But I feel like that's when if you go to like one of those cushy like adult prisons for embezzlement. Well, it's not so bad.
You can't leave.
Yeah,
it's not so bad.
Gosh, Jer, I don't know where you were going with that.
I'm saying this should be the best movie of 2016.
Yeah. You guys want to know what the number one film is, by the way? Adjusted for inflation of all time?
Titanic.
Hang on.
Adjusted for inflation.
Wait. What's the one with the blue things and they're in the forest and James Cameron did it and I don't give a shit.
You know what sucks? Even adjusted for inflation, that's number 15. That's horrible. Avatar. I've never seen Avatar.
You've never seen it?
No, I finally, when did that come out? Like 5 years ago or something?
Yeah.
I finally, in my 40s or whatever I was at the time, put my foot down and said, I know I'm not going to like this movie. So why would I go see it? I'm not going to go and make myself angry. I'm just going to not see it. And I feel so good about that decision. I've stood by it this whole time.
It's like the cushy prison. It's not that bad. It's like a B+. Who cares? Let's talk about something else.
Let's talk about Raiders.
Gone with the Wind is the number one film of all time.
Okay.
Gone with the Wind. You know what set to number 2 is? It'll make you feel a lot better, Jerry. Number 2?
Star Wars.
Close number 2 is Star Wars.
How about Empire Strikes Back?
And to make you even feel even better, E.T. and Jaws are both in the top 10.
Well,
Ooh, and The Exorcist.
All right.
Oh, you know what's a little weird, though? Force Awakens is ahead of Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back is 13.
Wow.
Well, they charge more money now.
Well, now that we talk about Empire Strikes Back, I have a question for you, Christy. Got you on today. After the thousands of pieces of meticulous evidence we've laid forth about Raiders of the Lost Ark being Han Solo's fever dream.
Don't make our guest cry.
Are you still a dead ender? Are you still,
So,
or have you come around?
Pete, the reason you haven't heard from me, the reason I've been gone below these many weeks is because I sit up nights and I go through, the new wing of the museum, and I can't refute it, but I can't quite bring myself to. And then I read another, and then I look at it and I read it. And then I say, no, it can't be. And I go back to the first wing, the first wing of the museum, and so forth. I don't know where you got all of these things, and I just can't refute the tauntaun hats. I can't do it.
That's the one that did it for you? That put it over the top? Wow.
Well, I just didn't want to believe it, but that's actually why you haven't heard from me. That's why I didn't know how to cope.
It's okay. Christy.
I gotta tell you, I told Jer that like weeks ago.
Wow.
That's totally true.
So I'm sorry, Pete. I don't know how to answer your question. I'm like a shell of the man I was.
I'm gonna chalk that up as ambiguous, like the end of this movie.
That's right. Well.
Oh my God. It's gonna be all right, Christy. You're among friends. Well, we've been kicking around some things to talk about for these end credits, and one thing I want to pull everybody on is this is a fun little challenge. The top 3 or so. What are like the biggest revelations that you've discovered from this movie? I have 3 written down. I don't know if anybody else has more or less than that. But I guess revelations, discoveries.
I had no idea that Indiana Jones was so bad at his profession.
I didn't write that down, but that's really good.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I think it's easy to pile on. And maybe there's something about the listeners on Facebook, but we keep finding more and more ways that he is really a bungler, and I'm shocked that he is a bungler. I had no idea he was so awful at this.
Yeah.
Now, are you speaking in terms of like a grave robber? Or are you speaking in terms of his professorial duties?
No, we only see him, professoring like one time, and he's fine. He spells Neolithic okay, almost barely. It took him a couple of times, but no, that's fine. I'm just saying that not only is he super mercenary and self-absorbed, but he's a bungler. I had no idea.
I think you know what. Yeah, I didn't write this. This wasn't one of my 3, but I mean, just the very character of Indiana Jones. Like, I kind of went into this assuming, oh, Indy, he's our hero. Hooray, we love him.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of chinks in his armor. Like almost, It's almost all chinks. It's almost like he's got a little tin can hanging around his neck now.
Well, that was one of my. I actually wrote that one down too. Like, somehow dark and sinister some of his decisions were. Like his decision to leave Marion in the tent. Or how willing he was to destroy an entire room full of artifacts to grab just that one treasure. Or he made a lot of very questionable decisions, like just from a life standpoint.
He tries to, tell Marion it's not worth anything, when clearly the piece is worth a lot. And he just waltzes in and he's like, oh, I'm here. Okay, I'll just be taking that then. Thanks.
Sorry about that deflowering. Can I have that thing? It's worth it. Thank you.
Are we good? Okay.
You're the best. Thanks.
Oh, that's a tough line for your earballs to swallow.
That is.
The one he says, it's a worthless bronze medallion. Do you have it?
You have earballs?
Well, that was a word. That goes to Mir Bear. It's just hard. I mean, when you bring that up, I'd block that out because it's tough. You're like, oh man, it's like,
yeah.
But I think that makes the movie a lot better movie. Like, I think that's why this is by far the best of the Indiana Jones movies because he's such a dark, complex character.
Yeah.
He's not one-dimensional.
But I didn't know he was a complex character. I thought he was just like the hero, and he's always a hero. Every scene, he's a hero.
Oh, me too. That's how I came into this, assuming, yeah.
Like,
but then, when you get into it and you hear about, you start to understand it. Like, oh, this guy, when they made the movie, they were kind of setting out to make a slightly different movie than we have, or at least his character was supposed to be. Spielberg wanted to make James Bond, and Lucas wanted like this kind of rough alcoholic dude, and you can see there's like enough remnants of that guy in here, but sort of filtered through Harrison Ford's natural charm, and maybe some backing away from that they were doing while they were making the movie too. That you get like a guy who's not a complete a-hole, but he's got enough of that leftover stuff that you're like, oh, what's with this dude? But yeah, you're right, Pete. But it's in a way that makes him like not just a dashing hero. He's kind of like, oh, this dude's got some issues.
He's interesting. He's complex. He's
our hero, but
he's a flawed hero. But that makes him more interesting.
Definitely.
Well, and his his domestic life, you're like, yeah, that might just be because he's alone. He's a bit of a loner that way. We said he's emotionally distant, but that kind of turns into he's kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
You get through the whole thing and at least a lot of the movie, and you're like, well, that's why you see his house, and it's just him in the robe, and that's it. It's like, no, maybe nobody really. It's like they all, maybe women want to be with him, but then they hang out with them for a week and a half, and he ditches them. Or if they have any self-respect, they're like, I'm out of here.
Right.
Well, that's actually related to the other thing that was news to me, and you guys pointed it out, and Doris pointed it out, that it was a very, very brief affair that he had with Marion, and that was really crushing, kind of like Pete's museum. That kind of crushing, I'm telling you, because I had really imagined something much more adult. She was young and he was older, and maybe it ended badly. But I can imagine a lot of ways things end badly, and I don't have to think he's a perfect jackass. But you guys seem to think he was a perfect jackass. So now I got to ask you: was he really that much of a jackass?
Yes. Well, can I read you? I for some reason I plucked some just some samples from a couple of reviews from 1981 when the movie came out. Oh. And Roger Ebert's review,
that's amazing. He's
talking about Karen Al, and he's talking about Marion. He's like, she's the kind of girl. Well, to make a long story short, when they first met 10 years ago, Indiana deflowered her, and that made her so mad at men that she moved to the mountains of Tibet, opened a bar, and started nightly drinking contests with the Sherpas. She'll never forgive him, almost. So, like, he read it exactly right, like the first time he saw the movie.
Wow. Well, he is a professional.
He was good.
He was good. Wow.
Yeah.
Just straight up deflowered. That is kind of like, even as a kid, I think that was always sort of like the way I kind of like that she was a kid, like, borderline kid, whatever kid means, and was like puppy dog in love with him, and he kind of did his thing and then took off.
And what's crazy is he did it. I mean, it was under his, while he was under, I guess, the tutelage of his professor.
Yeah.
Or he really was mixing work and pleasure there.
Uh-huh.
One of my biggest revelations here was, and our guest Kevin Maher brought this up, is that Yahweh is a character, and he's definitely wearing his Old Testament pants.
Well, yeah, even just the fact that he's a character,
just the fact that he's a character, right? Yeah. But he's very consistently wearing his Old Testament pants. Definitely. I don't think he takes them off.
There's a good chance. I mean, I'm no theologian, but there's a good chance it's the only pair of pants he owns. He may have never gotten a New Testament pair of pants.
And it's like one size fits him.
Right.
I love that question almost broke you, Jerry. Like, as soon as he asked that question, like, you could almost hear the wheels spinning, and you wrestled with that question for weeks and weeks, and then you became the biggest proponent of, yes, Yahweh is a character in this movie.
Well, as we've gone on,
there's a true epiphany.
He was directing the movie after a while, according to you.
He directed the movie. I mean, as the minutes progressed, and there was no question in my mind, especially obviously you have some earlier minutes too, where you see the candle in the bar flickers, the flame flickers, and there's little hints of this, but obviously in the latter half of the movie, he shows up in full force.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end, obviously, he's, you're like, yeah, I'm a character. I'm running this. And you're all coming up to my house.
Right. Yeah, when Kevin first said that, I was like, well, yeah, the arc is certainly a character. And, yeah, it's hard to, like, divorce the two from each other. God and the arc.
I mean, I never thought of it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I definitely never thought of it that way. But after I heard that, that actually gets back to the when they're standing watching them opening the ark, and maybe you guys said this, I don't know. There's a big eyeball. They're tied to a post, right?
Yeah.
Giant eyeball at the top of the post.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's R2D2's eyeball.
I thought that was the Yahweh eyeball. I don't know how that you would say that. The Yahweh eyeball. But you'll just have to look into it, and it's looking over everything.
It's very Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
no, actually, Lost in Space. There's a Lost in Space that has a giant eyeball, but
my biggest revelation is very, very simple, and Jerry, you discovered it, and not with you. I've seen this movie 100,000 times, and I never ever heard Belloc say, "and not with you." Dietrich offers him a drink, and he's like, "When we are very far from here, and not with you." I had never heard that before. And it almost changes Belloc's entire character for the rest of the movie. That one line. Because, he's, annoyed with Dietrich, but, now you're like, oh my God, he hates this guy. And he's really pissed about Dietrich tossing Marion into the Well of Souls. It wasn't just, kind of, fleeting kind of machismo, hey, that was my dame. But, he actually was pissed, and he actually cares on some level about Marion in ways that Indy never seems to. And that totally comes through with that, and not with you. That blew me away.
Well, it was very. I remember you needed a minute there.
I did. I had to lay down. You couldn't see me, but I was laying down for a little while.
Well, one of my biggest revelations wasn't necessarily about the movie itself, but it was something our guest John Brugan brought up, and it's something I think about almost every day. Is the fact that there is something on Earth called a legless lizard.
Now we all know.
There might be one behind you right now. That is nuts.
And apparently they have a thing for shoes. Piping legless.
Yeah.
Ladies' pumps. Is that a pump? I don't even know. What's a pump?
It's
in shoe form.
Thanks for asking. It's a very classic heel shoe.
Okay.
With a traditional shape, not a wedge, mind you, but
not a wedge. Okay.
No, it's the kind of shoe you're thinking of.
Oh, that is a pump. Hey, look at that! Yep. Look at me go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm changing my revelations. That's my new top revelation. I know what a pump is.
I have a big one here, and we touched on it, and I kind of took it back a couple minutes later, like, hey, don't you guys see this? And it was kind of like, yeah, that's fine, Jerry. You're talking to a dog. But there was perfidy on the Bantu Wind. Someone sold them out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, there was perfidy on the Bantu Wind. I said it.
Do you have a theory? Do you have?
I don't. I mean, I leave the theories up to you, Pete.
Well, you were trying to make it sound like somebody on the Bantu Wind sold them out, but couldn't it just as easily be somebody who was on the dock or something who said, "Oh yeah, the Bantu Wind, they went that away"?
Well, here's the thing.
Life goes on. Authorities.
So does it.
That's my theory.
Yeah, totally.
Someone shouldn't buy me pizza. Go get him.
I mean, that's why he's singing and he's kissing. Maybe it was one of those things, the guy that I kiss. It was like a Judas moment or something. He kisses, Sala kisses the guy, And that lets him know that the Ark of the Covenant is actually on the Bantu Wind. He's like, look at the guy. When I kiss him, if I kiss him, on the right cheek, then you'll know that's the boat.
This movie is convoluted. Oh my God.
I don't think, because think about it. They get the Ark, they go to Omar's. It's clearly, this is supposed to be our safe place. And as several of us have pointed out, the movie was over there. They were going to England to put the Ark of the Covenant in the British Museum. And they were going to England and no one knew. The only people who knew were, Salah, Omar, and Katanga. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking all of you each in the eyes.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Now, I'm obviously, I don't want this to be true. I want everyone on the Bantu Wind to be above board and true blue and everything. So I'm going to say that, Germany's got a big fleet of U-boats. They could easily, not even just Dietrich's, but somebody out there could have spotted them and radioed back to, hey, you're looking for a freighter called the Bantu Wind or something. Or, they don't even know what it's called. But, I've spotted a ship that could have just left Cairo, yesterday. You can come check it out if you want. They could have gotten more. Germany's got a lot of eyes in the world.
I mean, they'd have to canvass a lot of stuff, though. I mean, all the airports, trucks leaving Omar's house.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I'm just saying, I understand. They may have. They're the Nazis, and they're well organized. Yeah. But it crossed my mind almost like there was a deleted scene.
Yeah, but if there, I would agree because, but it wasn't anybody that we saw. I mean, it's not it's not anybody that you see in the scenes with Katanga, because those guys are really loyal.
Yeah,
you can tell.
And I'm not insinuating that anyone I don't know. I mean, I know it wasn't the first mate in Katanga. I love the Bantu Wind and the whole crew.
just let it go. Just
I don't know. I just, maybe somebody, I don't know. There isn't, that's a pretty big leap. And I felt like there should have been some connection. Either somebody followed him.
I'm not trying to stifle your intellectual curiosity or your exploration of this film, but I don't want you to get overly sad. I know this road is going to lead to sadness, and I don't want you to have to go through that.
Somebody on the Bantu Wind sold them out. I mean, the bell wouldn't be big enough. For the
yeah, it's going to be all right, newbie.
I'm not indicting the Bantu Wind. I was just saying, how did they find that boat? I just thought maybe there was a deleted scene, something funky. That's all.
Sold them out.
I'm hoping there was a guy hanging around Omar's garage because there were all those people standing around wearing some kind of a gas mask thing, and he kind of followed him to the dock.
Docking Bay 94? Yeah. That's it.
It's whoever murdered Tote and replaced him with a scarecrow in that scene. Oh my God.
I thought that was going to be your biggest revelation.
On my list. It's my number 2. That freaked the hell out of me.
Really
oh my God.
He didn't come out of the closet in the slumber party. He went into the closet and shut the door.
And can I tell you something? It was a lot scarier in the closet because I kept thinking that Tote was right there, either scarecrow Tote or actual Tote. But I had to get away. Yeah, that was super weird. I don't like that.
No, it was weird.
Yeah. I'm still kind of shaken by the fact that the sound of the lid of the ark being pushed off is actually a toilet lid.
That makes 100% sense to me.
Oh my goodness.
I cannot watch the movie ever again without just thinking that.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that was a big one.
It is I didn't that is quite a noise that it makes.
Oh, my last one? The Jawa ghost. Was that your discovery, Pete?
I think so.
I think so too. Damn you.
I love the Jawa ghost.
Oh my God.
That was really creepy. Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, going along with the Jawa ghost, mine was the guy, that other archaeologist that gets knocked out, and you just see a half a second scene with him in it outside of the Well of the Souls.
Yeah.
I'd never known about that guy.
There. Yeah, there's just a guy there who's standing, got knocked out. Yeah.
Well,
there's a bunch of things like that were strange, like the Admiral Ozzel thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's funny about that archaeologist guy who passes out is the idea that Steven Spielberg seems to know that Indy is a clod archaeologist and specifically wanted to have a studious, by the numbers, actual skilled archaeologist there trying to, make records of some of the stuff that they're finding.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
How about the staff of Ra, Pete? When you said that the staff of Ra is supposed to be 6 feet?
Oh yeah,
or something like that. Yeah. And so everybody in the movies, like
the little
the staff, it's tiny.
2.5 feet tall or something like that. I mean,
you can't.
It's like they make such a big deal of telling you how tall it's supposed to be, and then they show it, and you're like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, an issue.
And it's a complete plot point. They're digging in the wrong place, I mean...
Yeah. They actually go through the trouble of saying out loud the numbers and the calculations.
Yeah.
Tell you exactly how tall the thing is. And then you go, oh my God, wait a minute.
But it's funny that for like 30 years, none of us ever sat down with a calculator, like a pen and pencil. Like, hey, wait a minute. What's 6 minus 5?
They're waiting for you.
I mean, you'd have to watch the movie 1 minute at a time.
And who's going to do that?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Dummies. We brought this on ourselves.
I'm just going to say this, and we don't have to get into it and all that, but I never sleep well with that whole Marion Basket switch where she's clearly dead.
Yeah.
And she blew up in the truck.
Yeah.
The end.
I was going to say, you could just chalk it up to simple film, obvious trickery or whatever, like just shorthand, but it really doesn't make sense, does it? And no matter how you cut it in the movie, it doesn't make sense. Like either guys are loading an empty basket onto a truck and they know it, or it doesn't make sense. You're right.
And they should have. All they had to do was film a 3-second scene of either showing how somebody had to put the basket down to pick up a machine gun and then something else happened, or anything. They just didn't even bother showing that one.
Well, no, they did explain it fully. They must have switched baskets. And he tells it all out. He sits us down by the fire. They must have switched baskets.
That's true. Yeah, that's fine. I can sleep well. Thanks, Tommy.
Don't thank me. Thank Indiana Jones. Well, we should probably wrap this one up because we could go on all night. My mom's going to be home soon, and she's going to want to make us dinner, and then we'll go to bed. But I just got sad. Christy, this is your last episode of Raiders.
Oh.
You just want to go back soon with plenty of episodes of Temple of Doom.
That's true. We'll have you back for Temple of Doom.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're grandfathered in.
And thanks.
Jaron knows you. He vouches for you.
True. I got an in, and I think I've seen that exactly one time.
Are you kidding? Wow.
Nope.
So you guys should both watch it 1 minute at a time.
It could happen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now I'm excited.
It's like the great wide future.
Yeah. Who knows what'll happen?
Yeah.
Well, Pete, this is that time where I say, hey, Pete, tell people where they can find us online and start sending us farewell packages and things like that.
Or if you want to write and tell us what your biggest revelations were, we'd love to hear those too.
Oh, yeah.
You can come to our website, indianajonesaminute.com, and you can find our email or contact information there. And while you're there, you can buy a shirt or a mug or whatever you think of. And you can check out all the evidence pointing out that this is indeed Han Solo's dream, and find the latest archaeology news and all of our episodes if you want to catch up on back episodes, indianajonesaminute.com, or find us on Facebook.
And yeah, hey, that Han Solo stuff, I mean, we convinced Christy Porter. I mean, you'd be a fool to deny it now. Well, listen, everybody, let's all come. Well, I'm sorry. Jerry and Pete, let's come back tomorrow. We'll talk about Christy behind her back. Christy, you got the whole day open now. You can do whatever you want.
I guess so.
But please, the rest of you, don't tell Christy, but join us back here tomorrow for minute 113 of Raiders of the Lost Ark here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Jones!
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 Jerry is always sounding like he's hurting himself when he does Jones.
I do. It's my inguinal canal. My
Stabbed him
up
in
my
the gut.
inguinal canal.